right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies might have inspired it. But today on the show, we're not doing that. Instead, it is the middle of the year, and we are talking about our favorite movies of 2025 so far. This is our top 10 that we do at the middle of each year, and we'll see what sticks around when we get to the end of the year. This time around, joining me is Ben Miller from Ice Cream for Freaks. You always hear him on my Oscar episodes as well as on some regular episodes here and there, and happy to have him here today to talk about some of our favorites of the year so far. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. I also want to remind you we have a Superman live show coming up this Friday, July 11th at Downtown Cinemas. It's going to be an awesome show. There are tickets available. I hope to see you there. And next week, Thursday, July 24th, we'll be at Maya Cinemas for Fantastic Four First Steps, and you can still enter to win tickets right now. So go do that at piecingpod.com. I'll also mention, since it is happening this week, we've got a listening party for the new The Pup Pups album happening this Thursday, July 10th. The album comes out the next day on July 11th. The new album is called Three Chords and the Pooch. There'll be a commentary track like I always do whenever I put one of my albums out. I'm so excited to share this album. It's so ridiculous and so much fun. So, yeah, lots of stuff to check out, a lot of happenings going on. But with that said, let's get to this conversation about some of our favorite movies of 2025. All right, Ben Miller is back with us. We're going to talk about the top 10 films of the year so far for 2025. How's it going, Ben?
It's going well, sir. It's nice to be here. It's been an interesting year in film as far as the first half. There's a lot of, some interesting films that are like obviously at the top of a lot of people's lists. A lot of polarizing that I see. A lot of people who are like, "Wow, this is awful," and everybody's like, "Best film of the year." So, but people love to be, one side or the other.
Yeah, I mean, that's also where we are just as a people now.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
everything has to be the worst, has to be the best, and we have to hate each other for each other's opinions. So,
This is true.
yeah, it has been a little bit of a weird year. It was definitely off to a very slow start, but as always, there's a lot of great stuff, though, so we'll get into a whole bunch of that throughout this conversation. But let's just jump right into it because we got a lot of movies to talk about. What do you have
Yes,
for your
sir.
number 10?
My number 10 is Elio.
Okay.
It's not by all means, took my kids to it. My kids really enjoyed it. My wife really took to it, just kind of that she really enjoyed the message. It's one of those things where Pixar has a certain standard of quality, especially when it comes to a original film. And it's not obviously it doesn't reach the heights of the Wallies or the Ratatouilles or the Incredibles or anything of those things, but it is still very, very well done. It's beautiful to look at. It just didn't have that. I think people are just upset that it didn't have the mass. It wasn't a masterpiece. It's like it's kind of the standards that they have come to expect from Pixar. And it's funny that that's the case because it's still Disney. It's still like the biggest possible studio putting hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars towards a film, and
Yeah.
people being like, "Well, it's not this." It's like, okay, well, I think the standards of that, and obviously, a lot has been talked about the marketing and all that kind of stuff. But I really enjoy it. I think it's a good film, and I will happily watch it every time it comes on TV. And I took a lot from it, so I don't fault it for what it is not.
I actually have not seen it yet, and I am part of the problem that I did not see the original movie that is in theaters.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, has this one had the Elemental treatment where it's like, oh, it's a big flop, but then actually it's made hundreds of millions of dollars after a few weeks, and they just don't report on that part, or is it still
Not
kind of
Not yet. It's still slow simmering, and I think a lot of people are expecting the Elemental thing to be the case. It made
hopefully?
it made $5 million this week, and it's doing steady. Like sneakily, it's probably going to surpass 28 years later. So,
There you go.
I mean, that's one thing, but at the same time, like the box, it's been talked about a lot, like how box office reporting is compared to some of these things, like Lilo
It's
and
worse
Stitch
now
made
than ever. It just keeps getting worse.
Terrible. It's
Yeah.
every time is like box office numbers. I'm like, it'll have to make this much for money back. I'm like, shut up. I don't care about
Yeah.
any of that. It's like, but it's doing steady money. I don't expect it to be, the thing with Elemental, it's pretty universal. And I think Elio is probably a little more niche, and I'm
Mm.
not sure it's going to have that level of. Also, there's just a lot of stuff in the theaters these
Yeah.
days, which is
No,
a nice change of
it's
pace.
true.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but
Well, I'm going to go kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from a big Disney movie for my number 10. And I actually had a little bit of trouble picking because my number 11 and my number 10 are both Steven Soderbergh. And so I was
okay,
deciding which one goes where. And I ended
okay,
up going with Presence for my number 10.
okay.
Black Bag narrowly missing out there. But they're both great movies. And I'm normally not a big Soderbergh head. I don't know if that's a phrase, but I'm going to use it.
Sure.
I'm not that big on a lot of his recent stuff, but I thought both of these movies were fantastic. And Presence is such an interesting little concept, the slow burn ghost story told from the point of view of the ghost. And it's very slow burn, obviously a not for everybody kind of movie. But if you go with it and go with the idea that it's trying to put out there, it's really rewarding. And I think the ending is one of the best endings we've had in a movie this year. And everything about it is just so meticulously put together in a way that really stayed with me for weeks after I saw this movie. And so it was an early favorite of mine from the year, and it definitely, I feel like, still deserves a spot on this list.
It's funny because I did a podcast. We were doing one about Soderbergh, and I says like, oh well, I don't really like attach myself to every single Soderbergh film, and then I realized, wow, I've seen a good amount of them. Obviously, he's the he's the poster child for output, just
Yeah.
because the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
just never stops working. I think he's got another one coming out for TIFF this year, which is
Hmm.
insane. But I mean, I still haven't caught up on Presents just like I'm not allergic to horror. I'm not, but I just don't care about any sort of that kind of stuff. I don't find it interesting. So whenever
Hmm.
you see these things, you're like, "Oh, you're gonna go check this?" It's like, no. I
Yeah.
mean, if it comes my way and I'll be surprised, cool. But it's not something I go seek out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, definitely a not for everybody one. So
No.
it's, your mileage may vary, but
Yeah.
yeah, I liked it quite a bit. But what do you got
Yeah.
for number 9?
My number 9, speaking of a director that, director with fandom, The Phoenician Scheme.
Nice.
Wes Anderson is, people have really soured on him. Essentially, since Grand Budapest, people have just kind of started to turn on him just in
Hmm.
general. I don't really know why, because like he is what he is, and I don't know why everybody all of a sudden is like, oh well, Wes Anderson does the same thing. He's like, yeah, that's kind of what he does. Like
Yeah.
he has a pastiche, but it's consistent, and I appreciate it. Considering everything he does, it's I love a director who can fill a frame, and nobody can fill a frame like Wes Anderson can.
Yeah.
It's obviously visually incredible. The cast is great, obviously. I think the thing a lot of people are hung up on the Fishing Scheme is the fact that like there's no real theme to kind of grasp onto that other Wes Anderson films have. It's not as sad as Royal Tenenbaums. It's not as romantic as Grand Budapest. It doesn't have, the anger of like Rushmore or something like that. Like it's just kind of a fun absurdist madcap film. But I don't see that as a bad thing. I had a lot of fun. So yes, it's not the most deeply thematic film he ever made, and certainly not one this year, but I still had a grand time with it.
Well, I'll be bringing it up a little bit later, and
Okay.
I have some alternate ideas about those
Okay.
themes. But
Okay.
I will say right now, though, to the point of like certain filmmakers like having a style
Oh
and
yeah.
kind of sticking with it, I don't see the problem. Like we know what a Hitchcock movie is, and we wouldn't say that's a bad thing that we know
Yep.
what a Hitchcock movie is. Ozu, like
Sure.
whatever. There's
Sure.
all these classic filmmakers that like we know what they do, and that's
Mhm.
a good thing. It's
Yep.
it's their style.
I
So.
agree.
Yeah, I'll definitely be talking about it more later. But my number 9, more horror from me, is Bring Her Back, which I
Ah.
was very surprised by this movie because I was in the minority on Talk to Her. I did not like the previous Philippou Brothers film, which everybody went nuts for that movie when it came out. But this one just totally hit me. It's led by just a killer performance from Sally Hawkins as the
Shocker. She's
mother.
great.
Oh, she's so great in this movie, and the whole thing is just so pitch black, but also with
Mm,
some really great dark humor to it. But also, the whole thing just feels so like it feels evil. It feels like
mm.
tapped into like a hidden evil, and it's like, man, they really were on something when they were cooking this thing up, and I think it really radiates off the screen. And yeah, I didn't realize this as I was putting my list together, but my, 10 and 9 are both movies that I feel like a lot of people did not like, but that's okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's and Bring Her Back's that was I was gonna mention that previously. I was like, oh, of the horror movies that is like everybody's like, oh, this, and I was like, Bring Her Back's the only one. I was like, okay, I might actually go out of my way to try to catch up on it. I haven't caught up on it yet, but I might be now. I might have to prioritize it.
yeah, you gotta, finish the Sally Hawkins collection, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you got for number 8?
One of the best and the most underrated studio comedies I've seen in a long time. One of them days. God
Oh, cool.
bless that film. It is so fun. Raunchy, goofy comedy. The Day from Hell. Roommates that love each other, hate each other, love each other. SZA and Kiki Palmer doesn't miss. By the way, in
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
she does, she is exceptional, and this is no exception here. It's a great time. It's so fun. It's a breezy 97 minutes. Every time it'll be on TV for the next decade, I'm going to watch it. It is fun. I can't wait for Two of Them Days whenever the sequel eventually
Yeah,
comes out.
sure.
It's one of those movies that's like they didn't have any sort of expectations for it. Made way more money than they expected because God forbid you appeal to a group of people that actually go to movies and care about movies, and you make a movie like this. This is much more like a throwback '90s comedy, like a Boomerang or a Don't Be a Menace to South Central High, like that kind of stuff. Like it's so good, and I can't recommend it enough, and I can't wait to watch it a dozen more times in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it as much as you did. To
Mm.
me, it was more of like a next Friday instead of a Friday, which,
Oh, okay, okay.
Friday is amazing. Next Friday is funny, but
Yes, yes.
yeah, I definitely had a good time with it though, and I think the two leads are fantastic, and
Mm,
I am definitely looking forward to the sequel, and
absolutely.
I hope it's just as good, if not better. So yeah, great pick. Um, I will go with David Cronenberg's The Shrouds for my number
Mm.
8. Not really horror, but I guess kind of sticking with horror. But it's more of a dark comedy drama. But it's been rumored that it might be his last movie, and if it is, it definitely fits really thematically as a
Mm.
closure on all the things he's been thinking about and working throughout all of his movies over the years, dealing with death and the body and getting into all kinds of weird conspiracy things. It's a really strange movie, which of course it's
It's
Cronenberg,
Cronenberg, yeah.
but it's also very darkly funny. It's got some great performances in there. One of my favorite scores of the year from Howard
Mm.
Shore, which big
Nice.
surprise there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another freaking Cronenberg banger and has some really interesting, unique ideas that, again, these are the movies that, you want to watch and then they just kind of stick with you and you just keep thinking about them. You keep thinking
Yes.
like, man, somebody came up with this shit. Aren't we lucky for that?
Yeah, we don't give enough credit. Like, I had a buddy who was telling me, he's like, "Oh, well, they don't make anything original anymore." It's like, well, you're just not
Yeah.
trying to find the original stuff. Like,
Yes.
if you find like you look at the Shrouds and you're just like, oh, okay, like that's not the same. Yeah, so you have to kind of see like I guess the problem with studio filmmaking these days is the Shrouds is not going to get a 2000 theater release. I don't
Sure.
not sure it went above 100. So you have to seek these things out, but they are there to find. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what do you got for number 7?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna lose my credit card, but it's the Thunderbolts.
Okay.
I hate that okay, oh no, a Marvel movie in your top 10. Well, I'm just as surprised as you are that a one of the most poignant films about mental illness is a Marvel movie. Okay, I'm sorry. Like the real enemy of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is depression. So
Mm.
um, it just should not be as good as it is. Just like Florence Pugh, you think it was like, okay, this is going to be her first time like leading a Marvel movie. She's like, you can tell she is capable. I'm not saying I've ever seen her really sleepwalk through a movie, but I think to myself, she probably could sleepwalk through a movie, but she absolutely does not. It
Yeah.
actually is exactly what the film needs. Lewis Pullman is incredible in it, and all the other supporting cast really great as well. Um, I've seen it a few times already, and like it's one of those things that the last 30 to 40 minutes are probably some of the best thing that Marvel has ever put on a screen. And
Mm.
I'm not going to apologize for that being the case. It's so good. Those last 40 minutes, even though whatever clunkiness before, sure. And yeah, you have to have the stinger at the end for the post credit stuff. But at the same time, it's just, it doesn't have any business being as good as it is. And it is that good.
No, I liked it too. It doesn't end up on my list, but like at the same time, I think it is one of the better things that they've done, Marvel, in the last few years. And
Hmm.
it's honestly its biggest problem is coming out at a point when we're all just sick of this shit. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
It also
So
doesn't help, but, like, everybody's kind of like, "Thunderbolts, get out of the way. We got Fantastic Four and Superman coming.
yeah,
Stop." Like, we have our quota for superhero movies. We're and, we're a week away from Superman, and that's just gonna be everywhere in our lives, and then 2 weeks later, it's gonna be Fantastic Four. It's like we're the A1, A2, and it's like, "Hey, what about this little small little street thing?" It's like, "Shut up, we don't have time for you." And like you said, it's just everybody was kinda bored, everybody this feels like an earlier phase film, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, that does make sense. I'm just laughing. I'm picturing the advertising team being like, "Hey, forget about Superman and Fantastic Four. This one's about depression. You're gonna love it."
Yeah, and it's like me and my wife after watching it's like, "I don't think the kids are gonna watch this one."
Yeah,
It's like, "I don't think they really care about, you know, hey, that's Bucky." He's like, "Yeah, but he really stops this guy from his bipolar
yeah.
depression." So,
You're
yeah.
gonna cry during this movie. Come on out to the Cineplex. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh boy. I am gonna go with Osgood Perkins the monkey for my number 7.
No, you horror head.
I know. I don't understand what's happening. I didn't even realize it as I made my list, but it's like every freaking movie on here. Well, not every one. I'm
Yeah,
scrolling
yeah.
through. There's some other stuff, but this movie, it's so much fun. It's actually more comedy than it even is horror, really,
Mm.
and that's the interesting thing because he's always had a dark humor to him with all of his movies, but they're also like very dark, very just pitch black, and basically straight horror for all of them, despite that the dark sense of humor. But this one is just a straight up horror comedy. It is basically a riff on Final Destination, which
Mm.
spoiler alert, I might be talking about later, an actual Final Destination movie. But it's just so gory, so over the top and insane and ridiculous. This was one of the most fun times I've had at the movies this year. Just
Mm.
everything goes beyond what you expect it to go, and it's so super over the top, and it's just not anything I would have expected from Osgood Perkins. But I'm so glad he took this little sidestep before he gets back to whatever bleak, dark thing he does next.
I really like the Theo James renaissance that we've had in these last couple of years. He's like
Sure.
solidly came out of nowhere to be like, "Hey, do you remember?" Like, I was supposed to be the handsome guy, and oh, by the way, I'm a character actor, and it really works. It's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
the Brad Pitt transitioning in his later years. Theo James kind of got a head start on that already. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that side of him.
Absolutely. Well, what do you got for number 6?
The surprise of the year for me, The Assessment. Having Elizabeth, the high concept of Elizabeth Olsen wants a baby in the future after global climate change and all that kind of stuff, and then Alicia Vikander comes in to assess, and it gets a little weirder than that. So if you haven't seen The Assessment, it essentially exactly what I said. There's like, in order to have kids, you have to be assessed by an assessor from whoever sends it there, and they face scrutiny over 7 days. But it's not as simple as like, oh, they're just somebody's watching them and assessing them as parents. It's like, no, no, no. It gets really meta. It gets weird. It gets weirdly sexual and all sorts of strange things. But you have Elizabeth Olsen, Alicia Vikander at 110 the whole time, fully
Mm.
committed to the bit. Hamish Patel in there being like just the exact person you expect him and need him to be. And Minnie Driver shows up for 5 minutes for no reason. It's great. It's
Nice.
I wouldn't call it like a fun movie. It has some funny parts, more dark humor, but it's really just a really poignant film that is really an interesting way of telling the kind of story it tries to tell. It doesn't all work, but I really appreciate the effort and what does work. And Vikander and Olsen doing very different things, very different performances, but really effectively.
Well, I love both of them, and yeah, I've been wanting to watch this. It's on my
Mm,
list of things that I wanna catch up on,
yeah.
definitely before the end of the year, but, yeah, really looking forward to it. Sounds great. I will go for my, number 6 with The Day the Earth Blew Up, the Looney Tunes
Okay.
movie. This
Okay.
is such a blast. It is somehow the first ever full-length theatrically released Looney Tunes movie, like all
Fully
animation,
animated.
yeah,
Okay.
fully animated, yeah,
Yeah.
which doesn't even make sense considering their history of just all of the Looney Tunes stuff that's happened over the 60 years or however long it's been.
Mhm.
It's just completely insane. But this is a riff on science fiction disaster movies. It stars Daffy and Porky, and it's just totally lovable, totally ridiculous. It wears all of its influences on its sleeve and gets right into that classic Looney Tunes stuff, and also some of their more like 90s era cartoon stuff is kind of
Mhm.
mixed in there with changing animation styles and things like that. And it's all super weird, really, really funny, and is just such a blast. This was actually my number one for quite a few months now, but I've saw some stuff since then that has kind of pushed it down a little bit. But huge recommend for anybody who missed this one. And this did really well, and I think bodes really well that we're gonna finally see some of that other Looney Tunes stuff that's been like, shelved for
Coyote
a
and Acme
while.
just hanging out like Ketchup Entertainment to the rescue.
Yep, yep. So hopefully we will see what happens.
Excellent. I haven't had a chance to catch up on it. My biggest disappointment and failure as a father is not I've been unable to get my kids into Looney Tunes,
Oh
and
no.
it's like they're so Disney sided. It's very DC Marvel of it. Like they're on the Disney side, and I'm like, no, 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 come over to. It's like, no, 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 we're comfortable where we are. It's like, come on, like you can enjoy both, but I'll
They'll
get there
get
one
there.
day. I'll get
Yeah,
there.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. What do you got for number 5?
My number 5, kinda like you, where a movie was number 1 for a while, is Companion. One of the early films of the year that everybody was kinda went a little wacky over. Are the themes a little too on the nose? Yeah. Do I really care? Not really, because it was so much fun and I enjoyed it so much. Um, one of it's definitely Sophie Thatcher in this film is definitely one of those at the end of the year when I'm making my list, I'm like, "Oh, don't forget Sophie Thatcher's performance," because I have a feeling it has a potential to break through because she is so, so good in this movie in a very, like, tricky, like, complicated role, and I really appreciate somebody like Jack Quaid leading into his inherent potential unlikability
Oh
and
yeah.
and making that work for his, work for himself. Lucas Gage as well being in there. Shout out Rupert Friend, the number one, like, I'm an a-hole and I'm the a-hole in this movie. He's
Mhm.
2 for 2 this year. Good for him. But, really enjoyed it. Especially like Thatcher's performance was the number one thing to come across. She's just such a striking scene presence. Yeah, it really, really connected with me as soon as and stayed with me a while too.
Yeah, she's great, and I loved her last year in Heretic also,
Mm,
and I can't wait to see whatever she does next. This is where I veer from you, though. I
okay,
did not like this
okay,
movie, and I
okay.
know I'm in the minority on that. It seems like everybody loved this movie, but for something about it just rubbed me the wrong way. Something
Mm.
about the kind of attitude that it has, or like I don't know. It's just something about it just feels very like. Look what we could do. Like I don't know. It just I don't know, the tone of it
You
just bugs
famously
me.
love AI. You love
Yeah,
AI. So what do
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
I I understand. Like I get it. Like it has that's the on the nose part of it. It's like, okay, well, hey, guys, do you want to know our themes? And it's like, okay, we get it, we get it. And it's like, no, 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 we're gonna really like this is kind of the same thing. A lot of people had a problem with the substance from last year, where
Mm,
they were just like, oh, this is the theme. Now we're gonna bash you over the head with it. And it's
right,
like,
right.
okay, well, like I don't have like personally, I was like, okay, that's fine. Like that didn't bug me too much, and it's one of those things where I understand what the filmmakers were doing more than anything else, so I'll give them the pass, and I was just too entertained. So, but I
Yeah,
understand where the detractors come from.
yeah. Well, I will go to a little movie called The Ballad of Wallace Island for my number
Ooh.
five. I love this movie. It kind of just came out of nowhere. It kind of feels, for anyone who hasn't seen it, like something John Carney would do, like
Mm,
Once and
good one.
all those movies. It's about this eccentric rich guy who invites a folk singer to an island to perform a concert. But what the singer doesn't know until he gets there is that it's basically just for him because he's his biggest fan, and he's organized this whole thing. And there's a lot of great stuff that happens once he gets there, and this guy is just a real pain in the ass, but he is like so endearing and ridiculous, and the music is great. And the thing about this movie is, like Once, like those John Carney movies, or like something like Inside Llewyn Davis, like this is a movie that genuinely loves music and like
Mm,
the power of music and like
sure.
what music can do for a person. And that it just totally got to me. And yeah, I loved everything about this movie. One of my favorites from this year, and I hope more people check it out. Have you seen it?
I have not yet. I need to because I can just like I appreciate anytime an actor who you know is kind of like stuck up or not necessarily stuck up, but has like a persona of like high mindedness. And
Hmm.
then you can tell just from like posters and trailers, I'm like, oh, look how relaxed Carrie Mulligan looks. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like,
sure.
it's one of those things you're like, oh, maybe I need, like, she looks like she's having fun in this. And she looks not like it's so bright and sweet. And like you said, I think the carny of it all is really like, it's one of those things I definitely need to see just because like, every time, like, I see a Carney film, like, well, he's gonna miss one of these times, and every time he just does the exact same thing he does to me every single time. Like
Sure,
the
sure.
Once Begin Again, Floor and Son, every time, and it's like if that's the tone, I have to prioritize this then because it
Yeah.
sounds delightful.
Yeah, I think you'll love it. I definitely
Okay,
do.
excellent.
What do you got for number four?
So the long delayed but delightful time, Mickey 17, Bong Joon-ho, my guy,
Okay.
like he comes in, he loves I appreciate a guy who gets the proverbial blank check and
Hmm.
does not do a like is like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna be safe." He's like, "Nope, I'm gonna do guess what? I'm gonna do class as metaphor once again."
Yeah,
But
sure. Yeah.
but it's like, "Okay, well, that seems like something you always do." And it's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, but it's really inventive and it's fun and it's visually interesting." Whenever you return to the bag, I don't care if I'm having that much fun. And
Yeah.
there's a gonzo energy coursing throughout, and I can't imagine anybody more suited to Bong Joon-ho going nuts, and I need an actor to go nuts in a correct way, and it's Robert Pattinson.
That's so good.
Well, it's so good, and, you know, yeah, Pattinson's great, and, shout out Naomi Ackie, who's awesome in this
Hmm.
movie, a lot of fun, Steven Yeun stealing every scene he's in, uh the funny thing is everybody's like, "Well, Mark Ruffalo's doing a Trump impression." It's like, I don't know if that's an impression of any human ever. So, I'll give it the slide because it's, like, there obviously Shades and Ruffalo's politics are well known and all that kinda stuff. I get that, but it's just it was so stupid, and I like when they let Mark Ruffalo go a little off the rails because
Hmm.
he's a guy who shows up with an idea, and as director, you either have to be like, "I'm not I have to completely push against this," or have to just like, "Okay, well, this is what it's gonna be." So,
Yeah.
and Junho obviously just went, "Well, this is what it's gonna be," and let him cook, and it kinda worked because everything's so wacky anyway, so I had a blast with it, and, I love movie star Robert Pattinson is something we need more in our lives.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. This is a movie that I don't love, but I
Mm,
really, really appreciate because
yeah.
it really does feel like he got this blank check and he was like, "What am I going to use it for? I want to just play with Robert Pattinson.
Totally, totally.
I just want to see what I can make him do." And
Absolutely.
who can't appreciate that? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
fun pick right there for sure. Speaking of long delayed movies, my number four is also a very long delayed movie, and that is Ballerina from the world of John Wick.
Ooh.
I thought this movie was going to be a absolute disaster. I love the John Wick movies, but between the director Len Wiseman, who doesn't exactly have the best track record, to the highly publicized reshoots, and the idea that they needed to lean on Keanu Reeves for a lot of the advertising and all that stuff for something that was supposed to be a straight up spinoff,
Hmm.
I just thought, man, this is I'm gonna go see it, but I just don't think this is gonna work. But it absolutely blew me away. It's so much fun. It's exactly what I want from a spin-off of a John Wick movie. I know Donnie Yen is making the one that should be out next year, I believe, and I hope his goes this crazy like this one did too. Anna Darmus is great here. She is just so good at this stuff. You talk about sleepwalking. I mean, she could sleepwalk through any action movie and just make it look amazing, but she doesn't. She clearly is putting 100% into this. And this movie, granted, it's probably Stahelski stepping in and actually
Mm,
making all the good stuff happen,
totally,
but
totally.
the action sequences are so good once they actually happen.
Mm,
The flamethrower scene is, as advertised, one of the coolest things you'll ever see. And I love the way this movie. I talked about this on my podcast episode about it. I From the world of John Wick, Ballerina just sounded like such a corny name, but after
mm,
watching the movie, you realize how much this opens up the world of John Wick and
yeah.
how you're seeing that there's all this other crazy shit happening out there. And it makes so much more sense once you see that. And so I love that. And I hope the other spin-offs end up being from the world of John Wick in the same way.
See, I think this is kind of the opposite of this is like a Thunderbolts mirror because
Mm,
everybody's like, "Oh, we're making another John Wick movie and it's delayed and all the stories." And it so essentially just lowers everybody's expectations.
yeah, yeah.
And then they go in and they go, "Whoa, like I didn't see that one coming." And also no John Wick out that has not been involved in John Wick has been any good.
Mm,
So oh, we're going to do the Continental series. It's like, well, okay, that's that. Nobody ever talks about that, and all these other
sure.
spinoffs and all the things they want to do, and you're just like, well, it's just going to be another thing, and people had lowered their expectations on De Armas and everything in general, and just kind of goes in like you kind of go in with low expectations, and it allows those expectations to be lifted as you go, and you're like, okay,
Sure.
well, like what a nice change of pace, essentially a
Absolutely.
welcome breath.
Absolutely. All right. So what's your number three?
All right, so we were talking about Soderbergh earlier. I am much more positive on Black Bag than you are.
Okay.
I was kind of blown away by like you think a guy like Soderbergh who's the filmmakers who are much more established and have a long history are kinda up their own butt about, like, what their films mean and
Mm.
can be like, "Oh, this film needs to be 247 when 215 will be fine," or this, "I need to tell more and drag this thing out." Soderbergh's like, "No, no, no, no. I'm gonna do a tight 90 on a film that probably needs 2 plus."
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, he really spun as much as he could, as fast as he could, because I think he realized that the fun part of spies is if you get too bogged down in the details, it's not fun anymore.
Mm.
So he
Yeah.
didn't really care much about the details. Yeah, the details are there, but he's just like bam, 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 bam. Scene next scene comes. This scene comes. This scene comes. It just kind of cares about interpersonal dynamics. And if you think about all that movie does in 90 minutes, it's pretty shocking how
Oh
like
yeah.
what it does, how it does it. Still doing I don't know many other directors who do intelligent, tight adult filmmaking in this way. Like it's he doesn't use any tricks. Like there's no real action sequence. There's no like big like even the big the whatever the actual plot mechanism they're trying to find. It's like it's not really that they don't actually put a ton of importance to it. It's much more important about the main duo. And whenever you just put people in cool black rimmed glasses in front of computers, he figures out a way to make it work. I loved it. I thought Black Bag was incredible.
No, I absolutely agree. It is fantastic. Like I said, it's just below my top 10, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
no, it's great. And I say this in like a it sounds like a backhanded compliment, but I mean it in a good way. It feels like the best pilot of a like
absolutely,
HBO series that you've ever
totally.
seen, you know? So
Yeah, let's kick it off. Yes.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, great performances all around everybody, even the small roles, like they're all so good in this movie. So yeah, no, great pick, and it definitely belongs in the conversation here.
And shout out Marissa Abella, who gives like the sneakiest best performance of the year.
Oh, she's
Like
fun.
she's so fun in that movie, and like the only one who like even though they're all spies and nobody really knows, like, well, you have a grasp on everybody, and it's like I don't have a grasp on her. I don't really know what's going on. Like, and
Mhm.
and that's the purpose of the film. So I get that, but
Great stuff, great stuff. My number 3 is Friendship, the,
ooh,
very weird comedy built around the persona of Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave.
hmm,
This is definitely one of those not for everybody movies.
yeah,
If you can't get into that show, you're definitely not gonna like it. Even if you're into that show, you might not like it because it's so absurdist. It is so, just out there. It's almost anti-comedy in a way. It's
it's cringe
just
comedy.
it's very cringe. It's super, super weird. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Tim Robinson, this comedian, he plays this basically just a weirdo who strikes up a friendship with a neighbor played by Paul Rudd, who's kind of rechanneling his Brian Fantana from Anchorman persona. And who wouldn't want to be friends with that? But when the friendship gets kind of broken off, he spirals basically, and everything just goes in directions you from moment to moment you have no idea where anything is going to go or what is going to happen. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Kate Mara is so good in this movie. She is like what could just be a nothing role of just the wife. She does so much weird shit in this, and I love this movie so much. I also love the score, and it looks better than it needs to look. Everything about this is something that I'm just like, wow, this they really pulled together the weirdness of I Think You Should Leave into kind of that next level of making a movie. They like
Yeah.
really did that in an interesting and worthwhile way, I feel like.
Yeah, it's the funny thing about K-Mara is I always think of the little, like, ooh, little shoulder shimmy taco dance, like,
Yeah.
oh, like, I always
Yeah.
laugh when I think about that. Same thing, yeah, I get it, like, it's not going to be for everyone just because if you don't like what Tim Robinson does, you're not gonna like this movie. Like,
No,
if you like him, then there's a chance. You still might not like it, but I
still
mean, like,
might not. Yeah.
you can't just be like, "Oh, this movie Friendship, Paul Rudd, let's turn it on." It's like, "No, no, 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 no. You're gonna like I will never recommend it to my mom." Like,
Yeah.
it's not like a parent or like, "Hey, it was never gonna be a movie that made any sort of money just because people are never not that kind of movie."
Totally.
It's a Tim Robinson vehicle more than it is anything else. And I appreciate like, there's obviously there's an audience for that. It might not be everybody, but the Tim Robinson lovers really ate good there.
Yeah, I'll say one other thing about it. I saw it twice in the theater, and,
Ooh.
both times were less than 5 people in the theater. The first time, all 4 or 5 of us just dying laughing, just fucking screaming laughing. The second time, I was the only person in the theater laughing, dead silence. So, yeah, just it's really hard to say who is gonna
Excellent,
connect with this one. So,
excellent.
what do you have for, number 2?
My number 2, the probably the least seen on this list, but man, did it work for me, because 'cause I'm a baseball guy, so the film Ephus
Mm, yeah.
is my number 2. You know, oh, what happens? It's like, oh, these middle-aged guys are all playing baseball. It's like, okay, well, what happens? It's like, that's it. They're just playing baseball. And what happens to the game? It's like, it doesn't really matter. It's like, what are they talking about? Ah, not really, nothing, anything. It's like, it's just I film so decidedly my speed. Like a film that loves baseball, understands the purpose of that camaraderie of a bunch of middle-aged guys who probably think they're a little too good to be on this stupid team, take it a little too seriously while also not taking it that seriously. It's sweet, it's sad. No actor takes the reins. The entire ensemble is perfect for what the film needs to be. it could have been 8 hours long, and I would have watched every moment. It's just they're going to shut down a baseball field, and these guys don't want to stop playing, and they just want to make the whole game finish. And they could have made it overly dramatic, and they could have done 1,000 different things to change kind of the tone or what kind of film it is. But it's not. It's just kind of it's a hangout film for guys who before this it didn't really matter, and after this it's not really going to change. But this is still important. It needs to happen. It's a film that stuck with me. I was shocked at how much it stuck with me. I didn't think it was just gonna be like, oh, that was fun and move on. It's kind of resonated. It's like if the guys from the Sandlot were still cared.
Right, right. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I've heard nothing but good things about
Oh,
it, and, yeah, I'm not a baseball guy, but I do love a good hangout movie, so I think
oh,
I'll probably, enjoy it and definitely looking forward to it.
a lot of fun, a lot of bittersweet, a lot of guys who are like, "Wow, your knees are hurting. Why are you doing this?" That type of thing. Like,
Nice,
yeah, a good middle-aged movie too.
nice. I like that. Number 2 for me, I am just so surprised how much I love this movie, but it is Final Destination: Bloodlines. Um, This movie is so much fun. I saw it in 4DX, and me and the whole audience just screaming and laughing and just it's so dialed into exactly what this kind of movie should be. These filmmakers who got the reins to the franchise, uh, I can't even imagine a better fit for this franchise. I was never a fan of these movies to begin with. Like I think I saw the first one when it first came out. I might have seen one or two of the sequels, but I don't even really remember them. So I really wasn't interested in this movie at all, and I just went to see it because the reviews were good, and I was like, maybe it'll be something. And I had somebody lined up already who wanted to guest on the episode. So like, yeah, sure, I'll go see it. And it just blew me away. The set pieces and kills are just insanely great. It's way funnier than I would have expected, and it's just the perfect popcorn horror movie. I think of all of the legacy horror sequels we've gotten over these last few years, which there are a lot of them, and we're about to
Yeah.
get another one this month with
Yep.
I know you did last summer, and like this is the best one of all of them, and uh, eh, all the success it's gotten is so deserved because it remembers what it's all about, going to the movie theater and having a fun time.
It's all it like, I really appreciate any director who understands exactly what the film is supposed to be. Like, especially who
Yeah.
somebody takes over a series, like, like, sometimes there are directors who are like, "I'm just gonna kinda keep, like, with this like, it's a film series." Like, if you look at Harry Potter, like, those first 2 Chris Columbus movies are much, much different than the entire rest of the series because Chris Columbus is like, "These are kids' movies." And then every other director is like, "No, they're not kids' movies,"
Right,
and
yeah.
kind of, like, steer it in the direction they're supposed to be. And, like, after Cuarón did, like, the 3rd one, like, every other director's like, "Okay, we're gonna keep this and see what's going on here." And like they're just kind of maintaining the kind of tone of everything
Yeah.
because they don't want to mess things up. And the Final Destination guys essentially just go and they're like, okay, the kills are the draw, but we also need to have the comedy to go with it because it's so preposterous.
Right,
If
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
if everybody takes it too seriously, when somebody's head is half sliced off, you go, "Oh, man, that's crazy. This is gonna scar me for life." That's not what the movie is. The movie's all propulsion, so you can't screech it to a halt. You have to have it stupid and funny. So I appreciate directors who are willing to push in that direction.
100%, yeah, and I should also mention, amazing send off for Tony Todd, so,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
this the scene was just perfect, so,
Not
for
to
any horror fans.
not to spoiler, but do you have a favorite of the kills?
I mean, I would honestly just go with that whole opening sequence, really, like,
Yeah.
that I don't know how they're gonna top that in any horror movie going forward. It's just, an amazing, like, 15 minutes of movie making.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
some of those things are like it's so funny because they know that the start has to kick it off right, and sometimes you have the log truck on the highway, and then you're kicked off in a great direction, or you have a NASCAR race go wrong and it's a disaster. So either way, you have to that's the thing that has to start those things right.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're to our number ones. What do you got?
It's stupid that it's where it is, but everybody has it there, and I'm gonna have it there too with Sinners. Like
All right.
I'm not going to deny, because I was in the theater and I was thinking, like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. Has some good ideas, and it's going along. Michael B. Jordan doing what he's in. Like I'm on board with everything the movie's doing, and everything is happening. And then it gets to that scene, and everybody, when I say that scene, everybody knows what I mean by that scene. The "I lied to you" scene, where the music swells, and all of a sudden there's an African dancer, and then there's a beatbox guy, and then there's a rapper, and there's all these, like, you there's a few times in a theater when I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, this is different. This is like I'm watching something special. And that
Mhm.
scene happens, and I'm like, this is special. And it I don't take notes during a movie, but if I did, I would have put my pen down and, like, just zoned in, because it was special. And the rest of the movie got even cooler. And I watched it with a very large, very black audience, which is the best possible way to watch that movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, having an old black woman behind me whenever Haley Steinfeld spits in Michael B. Jordan's mouth, and she goes, "Oh Lord!" Like, it's so good, and it's the most directed movie I've seen. Like, I've never seen, like, recently. Like, you're like, oh, that is a. I have never seen a movie more Ryan Coogler specific. Like, you want to talk about getting the bag? And he's like, hey, I've made you guys so much money. I'm obviously all the talk about his deal and all that kind of cachet he has, and he's like, he bet on himself. It pays
Yeah.
off tenfold, and I could not agree more with the accolades he's going to receive, the money it's making. It's pretty undeniable.
Yeah, no, it's great. It is an honorable mention for me
Mm,
personally,
yeah,
but there's no denying that it's the movie of the year,
yeah,
and it's it's the movie that we'll be talking about through the rest of the year, and we'll be talking about it next year, and yeah,
absolutely.
it's the big one, and it definitely belongs on the list, and is a lot of really exciting, interesting, fun ideas in this thing, and
Yes,
just movie making at a high level. It's some really awesome stuff going
I
on in it.
agree. Yes,
My number one is the Phoenician Scheme.
there you go.
To me, okay, so first of all, I was on Ben's podcast talking about Isle of Dogs, which is a movie
Yes,
that is literally made for me. Obviously, not literally, but you know what I mean.
yes, yes.
Yeah, made for me. So that's like my favorite recent Wes Anderson movie, but honestly, I have not loved his recent movies.
Okay.
I did not like the last 2, and I love him, and I'm not one of these people like, "Oh, Wes Anderson." I just simply have not liked those last couple of movies, and even The Grand Budapest Hotel, which is great and a lot of fun, to me, it almost feels like what you were describing the Phoenician Scheme. I felt like it was just fun, and there
Yeah,
wasn't, like,
yeah,
anything deep to it or anything like
yeah,
that. Like his first, like, 4 or 5 movies, which are all everything. They're like the
yeah,
full
yeah.
package of a movie. I felt like this was a return to those. I felt like
Okay.
this was the full package. It's not only hilarious, which, it's so funny from beginning to end. I was
Help
just
yourself to a
dying at
hand
this.
grenade. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines of the year, repeated about 4 times.
Incredible, incredible stuff. It's hilarious. It's got all of that Wes Anderson visual stuff that, you either love or hate, but I
Mhm.
love, all that quirkiness, all the great characters, but I think it does have the emotional core. I think the story between Benicio del Toro's character and his daughter, I think really, really, I think they sold it so well, and I think that it is something that is deep and has a huge emotional depth to it.
Mm.
And I think that the characters are so much fun to live with, and they have that feeling of like. Speaking of like something like Royal Tenenbaums, which I think this is the closest to, is
Mm.
that mixed with maybe Fantastic Mr. Fox because it does feel very animated a lot of the
Mm.
time. But I feel like you get such a great collection of characters who have very specific connections to one another in a way that you really care about what's gonna happen between all of these people, and so, I really do feel like Wes Anderson finally got back to that kind of a movie with this one, and to me, that is so exciting, but the best part of the movie is Benicio del Toro. It
Yeah.
is this is the performance of the year for me. You
Mm,
talked about Sophie Thatcher earlier and like some of the other things. This is my performance of the year. He is so freaking good, and we've loved Benicio del Toro for so many years, but he doesn't always get chances to do things this full or to lead a
yeah,
movie like this. And
yeah.
this is it. This is the performance. Like, I will be remembering this one for a long, long time to come. But yeah, also the Alexander Desplat score is
Sure.
fantastic, as they always are with Wes
Always.
Anderson movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything about this is just to me, it's so exciting to have Wes Anderson back for real with this one.
I love a guy like Anderson who can be like, "This is what I do. Who wants to join me?" And Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston are like, "We are in for any stupid things you have." Like
Yeah.
like the thing that makes me belly laugh every time I see the clip is Tom Hanks making the basketball shot or reacting to the shot and going, "No!" It makes me laugh so much, and I'm like, "It is Tom friggin' Hanks doing this." He is making no money doing this, I have no doubt in my mind. Bryan Cranston making stupid backhand layups, Riz Ahmed, Matthew Allmark, everybody's so on board with how stupid and hilarious and how everybody knows the assignment. As
Yeah.
and not only that, and this is the year of the nepo baby in my mind
Oh
because
yeah.
like
Yeah.
they are coming like I'm just like, oh, nepo babies in general. I'm like, rah, 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 rah. And then you're like, well, Jack Quaid just keeps bringing it every time. Dakota Johnson's being awesome. Wyatt Russell, and we talked about everybody else, and and then we have Mia Threppleton in this thing. We're just like, oh wow, she is so much like her mom and
Yeah.
so good. And now all I want is her mom in a Phoenician Scheme film, in an Anderson film, because
Sure,
I know
sure.
she'd be great in it too. So, yeah, a pretty awesome film. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I want to watch it again. That's what I want to watch. But let's get to some honorable mentions. What do you have?
Yes.
Anything you want to shout out here?
Yeah. The film that out of nowhere that really popped up, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll watch this with my wife and see if I like it. Deep Cover on Amazon.
I haven't seen
About
that yet.
It's so fun,
Yeah.
and you want to talk about a guy who's like, oh, did you know he had that in him? It's Orlando Bloom, comedy genius,
Hmm. Wow.
who it's about an improv group who is offered by undercover cops to infiltrate a drug ring, and they get a little too into it, especially Orlando Bloom, who's like a method actor, and he just commits so hilariously. But it's it's lampooning method actors the whole time. And Bryce Dallas Howard and Nick Mohammed are also great. Patty Considine, Sonoya Mizuno, Ian McShane, Sean Bean, they're all in it. Like, it's a fun, quick movie. Good, like, hey, we don't have anything to watch. Can we throw something on? Deep Cover, great movie. And then the other movie that I wanted to mention, just because I realized what it was, and it's diminished a little bit since I first watched it, is The Life of Chuck. Just
Okay.
because s- I've never seen a movie where I'm like, the lady next to me was crying. The guy on the other side of me was rolling his eyes so hard I could feel it. Like that's exactly the feeling The Life of Chuck brings. It's like you're either going to love the ever living hell out of it and be like 5 stars, best movie ever. I'm gonna cry every time I see it. It reminds me of my dad, my brother, but my sister, whatever. Or what the hell is this even thinking? This is so stupid. I want to. Movies are a mistake. There,
Yeah.
it's the. I'm probably in the in between, but I understand both sides of it, and I appreciate what they were doing. It's just I more appreciate it than I do like, oh, I'm all the way in love with it. But I understand why people would fall in love with it because it's very nostalgic. It's very hokey. It's very like life is incredible, huh? Like it's like, yeah, okay. But it, at least it's nice to see Mia Sarah back on screen.
Speaking of how weird the movie business is lately, I have not seen a trailer for The Life of Chuck.
Yeah, it's so strange. And it's funny because even the trailers for it like are pretty minimal. And the minute then it's just like Tom Hiddleston's there, he's dancing a little bit, Mark Hamill shows up, and it's like I'm not sure I ever saw one longer than 30 seconds,
Hmm.
which is weird. So yeah, that is a good point. Like advertising of these movies, like Life of Chuck was the Toronto Audience Award winner, which is like the number one precursor to a Best Picture nomination. And
Right.
it just kind of came and went and nobody cares. So it's very
So
strange.
weird. Very weird. So I had a few honorable mentions that you brought up already, Black Bag, Sinners, but I will throw a couple others out there. I really like The Amateur, which I'm
Okay.
usually not a straightforward action guy. Like I like action comedies, I like very over the top action movies. The Amateur though is just a really good straightforward throwback espionage action
Throwback.
thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Rami Malek was great in it, and, I just thought it did exactly what I would want from a straight up action movie, so, I just wanna shout that one out. Materialist from Celine Song, I thought was great, definitely one that I was considering for my list, and, I think it's maybe a little too different from her previous film, Past Lives, and
Mm,
maybe that's why some people didn't connect with it, but, I think it's great, and I think it explores a lot of the same ideas, but in very different ways. But I think it's a really good movie. Also, throw a shout for a smaller movie called Freaky Tales. Did you see that?
I did see Freaky Tales.
Yeah, that's a very fun, just kind of weird, over the top kind of movie that I think people who like those kinds of like where there's a whole bunch of crazy stories and they all kind of meet up in the middle. Like I think they'll like really enjoy that if they check it out. And then I have a couple others written down. Warfare from Alex Garland. I thought was
Mm,
very it's very visceral, not
visceral.
exactly
Yeah.
not a movie I would watch again, but certainly
Yeah.
really well done, and I wasn't expect as much as I like Alex Garland, I wasn't expecting to like it, so the fact that I did is pretty surprising, and I will throw The Surfer in there as one more
Hmm.
recommendation. Julian McMahon just died this week, but he's
Mm.
so good in this movie. I'm not gonna give anything away about the character in case anybody hasn't seen it, but, Nick Cage, of course, is the star of The Surfer, and, it's not the movie that was advertised, speaking of weird advertisements,
Yeah.
which I think maybe sets up some poor expectations for that one, but,
Hmm.
go in, just be along for the ride, and you'll find something really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Like um, some of these films are just like where they come out with such these pomp and like this anticipation, and they just kind of like just fizzle on release. Like
Mhm.
I really enjoyed the remake of The Wedding Banquet, but it just kind of came and went. And or there are other reasons, like you talked about Warfare, about not really wanting to watch it again. How about Magazine Dreams? A
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, that
a
that
rough watch.
I still haven't seen it, but, like, obviously that was delayed, and then with all the issues, they probably just buried it, and, like, I don't even know what happened with that movie, and I don't know anybody who actually bothered to watch it, quite
So I
frankly.
did watch it. I
Yeah.
did not enjoy myself for one moment,
Oh,
though I
boy.
very much appreciated the filmmaking, and Majors is incredible in this film. But he's gone into, like, Gerard Depardieu territory. He's, like, undeniably talented while also being a terrible human being. They can both be
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
Like, it's like it doesn't
yeah,
mean it's like I can watch this movie and go, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible," but at the same time, it's like, well, doesn't make me like anything he does. It
yeah,
is the it's gotta be like, it's a film I'll watch once. I've said I've watched it, and I'll never watch it again. It's not
yeah,
even like, "Oh, there's one scene that happens." It's just like a feeling of just, like, yuck. Not even
yeah,
having to do
yeah.
with Majors. It's just, like, what the film does.
It's what the
And
film is supposed to be, I think,
it's what the
right?
film is supposed to be,
So it
and
set out for it, and it accomplished it, but no thank you.
yes, yes. Elijah Bynum, shout out Elijah Bynum, director of that movie, who did a great job and I cannot imagine him making that movie going like, "Oh, I'm gonna make $1 billion with this movie." He's like, "No, I'm gonna make this movie's gonna make $700,000 and that's that." So,
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate filmmakers who are willing to do that, but, yeah. I did like Freaky Tales too. What a weird little odd film. Also, I gotta, Paddington Peru, oh, it has to be mentioned because it's a Paddington movie. It's the worst Paddington movie, but that's like saying it's the worst Lord of the Rings. It's like, okay, well, it's still a Paddington movie. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Paddington Peru, $800 million, yeah.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally. Yeah. Alright, we got into a lot of good stuff here,
Yes, we
Ben.
did.
Where can people find you and everything you're up to?
Oh, they can find me on all the socials at nebisben. I'm on Twitter, Letterbox, Blue Sky, Instagram, neb.isben. My website is icecream4freaks.com. You can find all my writings all my latest podcast appearances. Did a lot of other ones, talking about Glenn Close, talking about, like we said, we talked about Soderbergh and on various podcasts I did. Find all the old episodes of my podcast, my reviews. Feel free to reach out, and if you want me on your podcast, because I'm the David Thewlis of podcasting.
That you are,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, hey, I'm glad you were able to do this with me, and we will definitely get you back again sometime soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about some of our favorite movies of 2025. Thank you to Ben Miller for joining me on that one, and thank you to you for listening. What were your favorite movies of 2025? If we didn't bring up a movie that you really love, please send them in. I'd love to hear what movies you have been loving this year. I'll have to catch up. There's obviously a lot of movies I haven't seen yet, so I'd love to watch some of your picks, and I'll read some of those on the next trailers episode as well. So please do send them in. You could do that at Piecing Pod on all the socials. You could do it in our Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces Facebook group. You could also just message me wherever. I'm on all the socials, and of course our website, piecingpod.com. You can get in touch with me as well. So yes, please do get in touch. Let me know what your favorites were this year so far. Also, don't forget, we have a Patreon, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together. Currently, there's a Ballad of Wallace Island episode and a Freaky Tales episode, which have not been released yet. I think a couple others, too. Yeah, there's like 2 others, I believe, on there that haven't been released yet that are on the Patreon. So lots of great bonus content and advanced content from Piecing It Together. Also from Awesome Movie Year, there's always a bonus episode, and stuff from my music career, and you're supporting everything that I do. Check it out, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon at patreon.com/bydavidrosen. And I mentioned I have a new The Pup Pups album out. Speaking of the best things of the year, this album, I love it so much. I'm so proud of it, and it makes me smile. It makes me laugh. It's just the best. And I am going to close out today's episode with a song from that album. Actually, I'm going to play the opening track from the album. It's called The Perks. And for those that don't know, The Pup Pups is a comedy novelty rock album of songs that I make with my pets. But on this album, it's all about my dog Harvey. All the songs are either sung by him or by me to him or duets with him. And this song opens the album with Harvey singing about the perks of getting old, because he is 17 and a half and he's still with us and he's still rocking. And this is The Perks. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
Getting old, it ain't so bad. Still get to cuddle with mom and dad. I do something wrong and I get a little kiss. Man, I could really kinda get used to this. And I put inside now. And I put inside now. The perks of being a little old man. I'm the center of every plan. The day revolves around my snacks and meals and keeping track of how I feel. And I put inside now. And I put inside now. The other day I wasn't feeling too good, and Dad took me to the vet like he knew that he should. I was looking real bad, I was feeling real sick, but it ain't nothing that a few $1,000s can't fix. I said it's nothing that a few $1,000s can't fix. And I put inside now. And I put inside now. And I put inside now. And I put inside now.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.